Hello, welcome to my West Coast food garden. I live on the west coast of Cape Town, South Africa. This week I am planting celery, spinach and peas. I showed you how to plant radish in my previous video, and look at how these have grown in just 3 weeks. Such a quick reward, and they are super tasty. An easy way to grow celery from the stalk is I buy a whole celery from the shop and I chop the bottom stalk off and place that piece in a sunny spot on my windowsill in a glass with a little bit of water. I wait for some new leaves to emerge from the center, and then I plant it straight into the garden with well composted soil. Many gardeners regrow several celery bases at once. Since celery from seed can take several months, regrowing from kitchen scraps is an easy way to get an extra plant almost for free. It's such an easy grower. Tuck them in about 2 to 3 centimeters and then just push your soil around it so that they are nice and sturdy. That's all you need to do. Celery is truly such an easy grower. Celery loves to be fed, so compost well and give fertilizer every so often. So I've made fertilizer tea, and fertilizer tea is a liquid plant feed made by soaking nutrient-rich plant material or compost in water. I've got this nice big bucket, so I filled it with water and I go into the garden, pick all my weeds, and then I just throw it into this bucket. It's an inexpensive way to provide nutrients to vegetables, herbs and flowers. I dilute 1 part fertilizer tea to 10 parts water. I will feed all my plants a little every second week. I use all the weeds that I take out in my garden and throw it into the bucket, so it's easy and costs really nothing. Celery is very low in calories but provides useful vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. The golden rule for any stew soup are celery, onions and carrots, and these all grow in winter. Many people discard the leaves, but they are actually nutritious and can be used in soup, salads, pesto and stock. They contain vitamin A, C, K and have antioxidants. It's definitely a must grow in your garden this June. So remember to plant your celery in autumn or early spring, as it doesn't like hot summers. This spot that I've chosen has half-day sun. If you don't have a garden, you can plant it in a container or plant the celery in a raised bed like I've done here. I used the old cement pavers and filled it with soil and compost. Just remember to make sure that you have drainage holes and old cardboard boxes for the lining. One of my favorite things to grow is spinach, and on the west coast of Cape Town it's actually quite rewarding because spinach prefers cool weather and the Mediterranean climate provides ideal growing conditions through autumn, winter and spring. The Fordic giant is particularly reliable because it tolerates heat and wind. I sowed my seeds here because it's sunny. I scattered the seeds, and when they came up in clumps I divided the seedlings. If you don't have gardening tools, you can just use the old faithful spoon, which I often find a spoon lying around in the garden. Spinach is one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables you can grow. It is low in calories but rich in vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. Spinach grows very well on the west coast of Cape Town, especially during the cooler months. The mild winter is ideal for producing tender, flavorful leaves. I always give away to friends. These tiny little leaves, I also thin them out by using them in my salads, so great way of thinning them out as well. This spinach I planted a year ago, so this is from last year's winter. The storm in May almost flattened my spinach, but it's starting to regrow again and it's looking great. I just pick the side leaves off and leave the plant in the ground, and it will just keep growing and keep producing. So one of my next favorites are peas. For Cape Town's west coast, the cooler months from April through to August, excellent for growing peas in containers or even into the ground. So June is wonderful to plant peas. Soak your seeds for a few hours before planting. So what I do is I just put them on the ground and then give them a little nudge, a centimeter into the ground, and I literally plant them everywhere. Where there's a support, I plant. You'll see here I've used old building material because peas like to climb and grow. They grow better with support, like trellises, netting, or bamboo. So I just use all my resources to try and save money. I use everything I have in my garden. You'll see here I planted peas in pots. They seem to do really well. If you don't have a garden space, pots are great. So I even use old sticks that I find in my garden, or if I've pruned trees, then I use those as support for my peas, and that works really well. Peas like to have about 6 hours of sun, and then they also do grow in shade for the rest of the day. I love peas. They work so wonderful in salads, and just walking in the garden, picking them and eating them is also wonderful. That's it for today's planting, and thank you for joining me in the garden. If you're gardening here on the West Coast, I'd love to hear from you. In the next video, I'll show you my compost heap and how to plant beetroot, carrots, and leeks and onions. I'll be sharing regular updates as these plants grow, so subscribe if you'd like to follow the journey from seed to harvest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next garden update.